CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back. Well, no luck for the bulls really today. It's not that kind of a day. The bank nifty is still struggling pretty much at the lowest levels of the day. 2 days in a row, we've got a 1,000-point decline. Today's decline is almost 1,500 points on the bank nifty. It's a severe downward draft. Of course, short sellers making merry and around all the talk of what happens to banks, I mean, how much exposure to the Adani Group and what the numbers are looking like. Abhishek's been looking at a lot of the research out there at brokerage desks as well, seeing what numbers are floating around. Abhishek, that's really important. So fill us in on what you have picked up with respect to the exposure that lenders have to these group companies.
Surbhi, to begin with, CLSA has written a note. They say that where does the debt sit for Adani Enterprise amongst banks is what they have written. So most banks have indicated that they have largely financed the secured or, those businesses with strong cash flows like airports as well as ports. The ballpark figure as per them in terms of exposure for FY24 is that private banks have it at 0.3% of the loans or about 1.5% of the net worth, while for PSU banks it's about 0.7% of the loans or about 6% of the net worth. Jefferies has also written a note speaking on the Adani Group debt exposure by banks. They say that the consolidated debt of Adani Group is about 1.6 lakh crore. This is ex of shareholder sub-debt fund. They say that the debt to EBITDA ratio has actually declined from about 4.3% in FY16 to right now about 3.2% in FY22. So acquisition of cement business will add about 60,000 crore of debt, but it's a strong or it may lift cash flow because it's a strong cash generating business. Diversification of borrowing mix has cut the share of Indian banks to about 33% of the debt or about 0.5% of the sector loans. So they are watching the progress, but they see low risk for the banks given the fact that, debt to the group forms about 0.5 to 0.7% of the total loans for PSU banks, while it forms about 0.3% of the entire loans that private banks have. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that analysis. Karthik Srinivasan, Group Head of Financial Sector Ratings at ICRA, now joins it. Karthik, if you just hear the numbers that my colleague Abhishek had